It's June 1st. I don't know, it's May 29th, I think. I'm back in Canada. I'm bringing a shipment out of all the things I'll need for the next week to work with, depending on how I react to the new chemo. So that's my plan. It was actually frost warnings last night, but it's supposed to be nice today and tomorrow. So I'm heading back. It's my first trip in 2019. I did get re-diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, so I'm going through some pretty nasty chemo. I'm in between treatments right now. I get 11 days off and 3 days of chemo, 11 days off, 3 days of chemo. So I'm trying to make my trips in between, both my trail tree research trips and the cabin trips, to keep the projects going. So that's what's up. Looks like a good day. And you can't see past the cardboard, but it's nothing but bags of stuff hidden in black plastic boxes in case it does rain, or bags. So got to get out there and then take it from there. Unload everything, and then it'll be a little easier going back and forth every day. That's it for now. May. This is May of 2019. Those of you that have seen this other episodes know what this means. I'm back again. I want to say it's May 29th. I'm not sure. I got all those other ones off. Try it like this. All right, I must have had a screw in different the last time. So. Okay, so I'm back. My solar lights work, the ones I put up last year on either side. So when I walk in, there's some light in there. I think I mentioned it 2 years ago. Had cancer. My cancer came back. I'm at level 4. I'm on some really nasty chemo. I'm in between rounds. I've got a week before I got to go back and do 3 more days, and then 11 days and 3 more days. But I'm not going to keep track of the project, and I'm going to do some simple things. And just bringing out all the supplies that I'll need for the course of the year is a big job. So I don't know how far I'll get today, but I feel like I brought out a lot of stuff. Opened it up, checked the cameras that I have hidden and camouflaged. Nobody disturbed the site, which is cool. Unfortunately, no giant animals since last October. So that's it. These are not just pieces of cardboard. I'm going to paint these white, and I'm going to position them where I think I want the windows. I don't know if anything's going to show up, but those are my little solar lights. So when I step in, these 2 lights automatically come on. That doesn't sound like a lot, but believe me, it gives, even with my vision, I can now see everything that's in here at least, and it's bone dry. There's dust on the floor. Everything's intact. I actually still have my radio here, so I'm gonna have tunes today. I've got other lights I can hook up. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to finish cementing along that line where you can still see the foam. I'm going to cement that and get that finished up. And then that will be done. That's the only thing where we have, well, we have some there and we have some here. I hope I have enough material that I brought. I think I do. We'll have to see. But I'll get as much done as I can. Looking forward to it. It's so cool having everything bone dry. Nothing disturbed. I'm a happy guy. Everything on the inside is totally dry. Dust on the floor. One other thing I gotta watch out for is, and I'm gonna get out of the sun real quick. I can't be in the direct sunlight, so I'm gonna have to wear a hat and a mosquito netting. It's because of the chemicals I'm taking to kill the cancer, and I gotta watch it with the black flies. So I'm gonna have to. They're probably not gonna be here for a while. The mosquitoes are starting to come in. The ice just went out a week and a half ago, so I gotta watch that. You don't want infections from the black flies on top of the welts and crap I've already got on me from the chemo. So a little added protection, and I hate hiding from the sun. I love the sun. All right. I brought some cardboard out with the other materials the other day. Yesterday I painted them white. The reason I'm doing this is I'm going to measure 36 by 30 on this piece, and then I'm going to cut it out . I had to figure out which part's the square part on this. That ain't it. That's it. Let me try. Start over. I'm gonna get 30 inches out of this booger. What that's going to tell me is what a 36 by 30 inch window would look like on the cabin. What you're looking at is, I brought this cardboard out, painted it white yesterday, then I cut it today to 30 by 36. I'm going to tack these where I want the windows to be. In other words, measure off the ground where a window height is. Tack this, make 2 of them, take a photo of it, and then I'll have an idea of how these things are going to actually look size-wise to the cabin. I can't put giant windows on a tiny cabin, and you can't have too small of windows because I don't have electricity, and then you'll have no light. So I think this is going to work, and I look at things as an artist does, not as a builder. There are no plans for this shelter. I think you all know that. So I think this is going to work, and it'll give me an idea of just how those windows will look, rather than guessing. And it doesn't take that long to do. I don't know if other people do that or not, and I don't care. Probably can't see even in here. It's a little dark, but this is what I was talking about. This will give me an idea of, what the windows will actually look like. I think if I have two windows this size on each end of sides of the cabin and a door in the middle, I think I can get this light to come back on and give us some light. These are my little solar lights. So that was the idea, and I think it'll work. They're 2 foot by 3 foot, and I think if I have 6 of those, and then a door, maybe later patio window facing the southeast over there, I think it'll be plenty of light. It's in the 40s, the water's in the low 40s, the wind's in the 20s, but it's coming from the backside of the island. What I'm doing today, I'll kill the motor. What I'm doing today, I brought this, I don't know if you could see it or not, it's an old-fashioned hand winch, and I'm going to try to get the boat at Harry's Harbor out of the forest into the water. The water's up about 1.5 feet. So my idea worked. Out of the water for all fall, winter. Then during the thaw, the water comes in, the lake level goes up, and hopefully I could take this winch, attach it to one of the boulders out here, attach the rope to the back of the boat, and pull the pontoon easily out of the forest. That's my hope. Bad news is some black flies are tough, and in a sunny place out of the wind, that's what they like. And I got to avoid that because I can't get black fly bites with going through chemo. I don't need an infection, is what I'm told. So I'm wearing mosquito nets everywhere. All right, let's see if this works. Looking forward to it. First year pulling the boat out at Harry's Harbor. I hope this is recording. There will not be a take 2. Because once this happens, it's happening. All right. Everything's untied from the pontoon that held it up here. I'm going to try to use the pole I left that's aged. And while the water's still up, force the pontoon back out and then put it back over on the dock, and then we're done for the season with that. When the water recedes, I can clean this stuff up, and that's all good. So, like I said, there won't be a take 2. It'll either not work or it'll work. If it doesn't work, I'll have to go with another plan. Chemo might make me a little weaker than I'd like to be, but it seems like I'm getting her to move. As long as she doesn't get hung up on some of the camo that I put out to protect it it's stuck under the boat. But it looks like it's going. I don't know what that was. Something was hanging it up. Okay, go, you little bastard. Alright. Heading one way more than the other. I gotta get it to the side here. Okay. That's better. I can't go much further out because then I'll be over my boots. And the water's still in the 40s. I think it's working. I think I'm pushing a tree that I had camouflage on the back of it. It's hooked underneath it because it came in when the water went up. So maybe one more. That sounded good. Okay. Maybe I can get over here. Whoa. Get better. The ground's higher here. Come on, baby. Something's holding it. I don't know what. Whatever it is, I think I can get ropes on the end and force it backwards. So I'm a happy guy. Obviously, this is the new look for black flies with the chemo and mosquito bites. They don't want any infections on top of what I'm going through. So it's weird wearing stuff, but I think she's in. Now I just got to get a rope on the back end and put this high and dry so I can use it every year. That worked really nicely. Really happy. All right. So, what I'm going to try to do now is pull it out with this rope. It's hung up on a piece. Hope my little pier is still sturdy. So if this, oh yeah, baby. You can't see it, but I'm hauling a big chunk of the forest with. Those were trees I cut to camouflage the boat. They got underneath it somehow during the winter. So maybe I can get back here and get more leverage. I'm gonna have to get those out from underneath it. But she's free from the forest. This is a great plus. This used to take half a day or a day to get it out until I came up with this idea. Oh yeah, baby. This is sweet. Okay. All right. I'm liking this. I think you can see it in this. So that tip of that tree is actually the whole length of the boat and coming out underneath. So I've got to free that from under the boat. I got a couple ideas. I think the gaff hook maybe, or tying it to a rope and then moving the pontoon. Real happy. She's running. It was a little tricky getting it going, but it's running. It's running smooth. That's the tree that was underneath the boat, and that's now off to the side. I'll move that and tie it to shore so it doesn't get out in the way of anybody else. But real happy. Successful launch of Hunter, the pontoon. All right, that's a sound you want to hear. There isn't a marina for 40 miles, and I don't think they're really going to be willing to come out to where I'm at. So my buddy back in Antioch teaches me if I have a problem, and then I perform the operations out here. All right, real happy. Got the top back on. I'll clean it later. I got to go back to the other side of the island and start working on the cabin. This is where I had my tools stashed. It's made of dried birch logs. The wind didn't do this. Somebody, probably Mr. Bear, because there's nothing that fell on it. Nothing fell down on it. So whatever it was, it ripped it apart from the front. And it's held together with baling wire, steel. So, yeah, you can see where it chewed right through the rope. And that gives you an idea how much you want it in there. This is that sharp, and it won't cut that rope. So, it lasted 12 years. So, the side of this one is smashed in. Funny thing is, he couldn't figure out the latches. So, what in God's name he was after, you can't tell. He could have been after something that was living underneath, because this became like a condo development with the boxes. So now I've got to come back, protect these boxes, because they can't be just exposed to the weather. They were all covered with other material, but you know, like I said, the wind did not knock this apart. These are, you know, climbing ropes, baling wire, steel, and that little guy, he chewed right through those ropes to somehow get an opening going, and then he went crazy. So it's spring, and this looks like it just happened. They're hungry. I don't keep food in there, but I've had them try to eat gas cans. I know that's weird, but that's what they do. My guess is he's probably somewhere around here. It's spring, and this is the only time in 12 years that I don't have a camera mounted on that little perch, especially for that. Unbelievable. Well, good news is, inside of one of the containers was a neatly folded up and pristine tarp that I can now use to cover the console on the pontoon boat tomorrow. It took a long time just to get it back looking like this. Not quite what it was like in its prime. Whatever ripped this apart was a lot stronger than me. I filled in the gap with an aluminum ladder that I carried over a mile out here 12 years ago, when we put up this, my brother Pat put up this stand up in the tree. All the boxes still had the things in it. Whatever it wasn't smart enough to undo the latches. It did break through the side of one of the boxes. Again, no food, nothing to eat, just a lot of tools that I felt I was going to need, because I originally thought I'd be building up here. So now I've got to come back in a couple weeks, maybe when Gail's here, and bring some empty backpacks, and we'll hike them out of here. All right, never know what you're going to run into, and the only time I didn't have a camera aimed right at this bear cage really makes me mad. I'm heading out to the island from the furthest point on the other end of the lakes. I had to get plywood. This plywood you're looking at is really nice, Canadian spruce, 1/2 inch thick. I've got a little gap on the top of each wall between the last log and the purline that supports the roof. So I wanted to use something that looked like the ceiling and like the logs. Unfortunately, I've got to cut that into 10 inch strips. So I can't go too fast today. I'll see what it's like out in the open water. Right now it's really calm and it's not windy, so that's great. Because I've got 6 sheets of plywood in the bow of the boat and all my other gear underneath: saws, gasoline, extra batteries, trolling motors, a 6-gallon tank of gas. So we don't want high waves going to out to the island. But I think I'm going to luck out. We'll see what happens. Okay, I've made it halfway. It's going to take a long time. I think top end is about 4 or 5 miles an hour, maybe 6. I'm going through rock cut right now, and this is dangerous when you don't have a lot of stuff in the boat. It's called rock cut for a reason. There's boulders. You got to know where they're at. So I'm taking a very defined course, and I got the engine up, and I'm hoping I don't hit, the prop doesn't hit the bottom of the boulders. Anyway, so far so good. The wind has been dead calm. So again, with 3 or 4 foot waves, when I hit West Cavignon in a couple minutes, this could really get ugly. So real happy. All right, and those are the neighbors again. All right, that's the island in the distance, and it's been super calm. Couldn't be better for this ride. So now I just got to get these things out of the boat and up to the. I'm made it across the lake, and this is what I mean about there is no dock when I get to the island. So I'm going to aim for that area straight ahead, and you can't go too fast and you can't go too slow because it's got to bite on the shore without damaging the boat or catching on these plywood sheets. So I'm going to kill the motor and kill the motor, glide it in, and yes, now sit. All right. This is the 5th or 6th time I'm shooting. The other camera's totally screwed up. This camera was out on site, so it's been so cold at night that the battery went dead. So I had another battery in the boat. That battery's in this camera. Then I'm recharging all the batteries, and the other camera's going to go to the graveyard. I'm trying to show where I bring the material up from. There's no dock, like I said earlier. Once you get here, you got to kind of gently crash land and then pull it up, tie it to a tree, and take it from there. But I wanted to have good plywood that matches the finished side that you look at when you're looking up in the cabin. So I had to go make a 60-mile round trip to a place that sells it, and then 45-minute boat ride because of the weight of the material from the opposite end of the lake to get it here. So I'm happy this is the last board. And it's really nice pattern. It's gonna probably never be seen, but it'll match. I had to mount the camera on a branch on a tree. I don't know if it's filming me or not. I think it is. So this is what I mean by there's no dock once you get stuff and bring supplies. So everything has to be brought up to the cabin. This is the 5th or 6th time I'm shooting. The other camera's totally screwed up. This camera was out on site, so it's been so cold at night that the battery went dead. So I had another battery in the boat. That battery's in this camera. Then I'm recharging all the batteries, and the other camera's going to go to the graveyard. I'm trying to show where I bring the material up from. There's no dock, like I said earlier. Once you get here, you got to kind of gently crash land and then pull it up, tie it to a tree, and take it from there. But I wanted to have good plywood that matches the finished side that you look at when you're looking up in the cabin. So I had to go make a 60-mile round trip to a place that sells it, and then 45-minute boat ride because of the weight of the material from the opposite end of the lake to get it here. So I'm happy this is the last board. And it's really nice pattern. It's gonna probably never be seen, but it'll match. I'm in the rock cut out of the wind. I just took a severe beating. I've got 2 fake windshields that I made. I used to have my knapsack up on the bow of the boat, wrapped in a 50-gallon commercial bag, bottoms up. It flipped over in the waves, opened up, turned into a sail, shot back, hit me, hit the gas can in the back of the boat. The big gas can over there came down, the small gas can came down, and that was just part of the trip over. I'm totally soaked. It's 42 degrees with a 20-mile-an-hour wind and 2-foot waves on East Cavignon. This little bay is totally blocked from the wind, so I've got to redo the boat. I actually didn't remember where the 3rd gas can went, and luckily they're good gas cans and they have caps that work and tops that tighten. So, and when it happened, when that backpack flew back and hit me, it dislodged the clip on the gas tank for the motor, but I didn't see that. So then after I got going, I'm in the middle of going head into the waves and the engine dies. Then I had to figure out what's going on with the motor. So luckily I trace everything back every time something like that happens. Found it, but it still took, 5 minutes of getting smashed by the waves and hoping the motor's gonna start again. So now the sun's coming out, kind of, but I'm not looking forward to the second half of the trip once I get out of this opening. Gotta go. Gotta reorganize all this crap a better way. Whew. It's June 1st or 2nd. I had to bring all of this chainsaw. I never go anywhere without these 2 packs. 150 gas, regular gas. Out today because I need this stuff. You have to bring certain things over all the time. I got out into the first big lake and it was white capping. It's 42 degrees out on that lake with a 20-mile-an-hour wind today with 2-foot waves. It was so bad that the backpacks, which are in the bow of the boat, wrapped in commercial baggies that are this big, folded over under the knapsacks, pushed up against the wall. Everything started vibrating. The wind filled that like a sail, flew back, hit me with this 20-pound knapsack in the back of the boat. That gas can fell off. I was soaking wet. It's June. I've got a North Face parka on. I've got winter goose hunting full bibs insulated, a vest, a long sleeve shirt, and Under Armour. And it's freezing because you're getting sprayed like a garden hose from the waves. It was unbelievable. That wasn't bad enough. When the backpack hit me, it landed on the gas tank. I didn't realize it at the time, but it hit the clip that holds the line to the tank and disengaged it. 1 in a million shot. So I continue on after getting everything organized again, and I'm smashing into the waves and the engine stops. Not a good thing. Now you get beat up more, and the motor's not working. So I'm going through all the things you do when the motor doesn't work. And luckily, I traced everything back, and it was still hanging there, looking like it was on, but it wasn't. So put that back together. Didn't want to start. It's cold out. It got going, and I'm just really glad to be here. But what started as a normal day that I was afraid of it raining, it didn't rain, but I dressed like this and covered everything with baggies. That was a really good thing I did. Now, when I go back home tonight, I won't have all the weight of all of these things in the bow of the boat. And there's no other place to put it. Under the seats of the boat, I have extra gas, electric trolling motor, marine motor, safety gear, etc., etc. So, just really happy to be back here. And that won't have to happen again, and not in this colder weather. And this is what I'm talking about. These are my fake wind brakes. They're old research posters that I gorilla taped together, and I could hold one in front of me with one hand and brake most of the waves that are breaking over me, because you're in the back of the boat with that amount of weight in the bow of the boat, and there's nowhere else to put it. Your bow's down, so the waves smash and go higher. Won't happen on the way home because the weight will be off the bow. All right, that's it. Just freaky. Every time you think something weird will never happen, something weirder. All right. Hopefully this is recording. This is another one of those you don't get 2 tries. I've got my mosquito stuff on, not for mosquitoes, but for sawdust in the face. Cheap, really safe way to do it. Today, big day, gonna cut a small hole. I can't stand the darkness in here to try and do stuff. I can't run a tiny generator in 8 hours a day. So, I'm gonna cut this out. Just gonna make sure this is still running. And it is. And hopefully, gonna have some daylight in here. Obviously, I started those holes beforehand. This is my little friend, Mr. Enforcer. I think for this, the blunt end would be good. So, once again, just gonna check to see if we're still running. Looks like it. All right. All right. That ain't gonna work. that stuff I put between my things for shaking, I think you get the idea that it's some good stuff. Alright. Woo! Big day in the neighborhood. Cool. I like it. Yeah, that stuff is on there for a couple of years. That head's on there good. Nothing wrong with it. That's a little brighter. All right, I'm gonna do that again in another spot. So, let there be light. Not enough light to turn the camera off though. Good Lord. All right. So, that's the view of the bay through the new window. And obviously I haven't trimmed anything out there because I don't want to till I know what I'm going to be looking at. So, this is pretty cool. I can now see who's going through the bay from inside. Yeah, I mean, a lot of trees will have to go down to make a little peep, little view. But that's what's up. That's it. Still can't see enough to turn the frickin' camera off. All right. I'm gonna cut the second one. I think I told you before that the little lights above where I was cutting, I have one of those on each end. That's a motion detector. It gives you enough light so that you don't trip over stuff on the floor, which is a big help. versions of the holes. These are just smaller versions of the windows. The windows will be a foot higher and 6 inches wider. So This one's going to be going out, not in. All right. Okay. More light. Been wanting to do this for a while. So that's my view. And again, we can lower it a full 10 inches or raise it 10 inches depending on what we want to do with it. And it'll be a little wider. It'll be probably be 4 inches wider on each side. So happy with that. Real happy with the way the foam held up and the way the logs have held up. What I'm going to do today, part of the day, is take the logs that are treated, that used to be the ends of the cabin that had to be cut off. I'm going to turn these things into new temporary stairs till I decide what I'm going to do for a stairway for the cabin. All right, we're moving along, but I kind of changed things up. I'm thinking of using the scrap plywood on the tops of the stairs to make them flat. Don't know if I'm going to use gargantua log. I don't know if I'll have to. I used some 2x4s that I had that were other scraps, screwing them together. We'll see what happens. I thought the only way I can trim this is with the chainsaw, so it might not be that pretty. Black flies are back, so well, not the prettiest steps in the world, but man, what a difference. Before I was stepping down 18 inches. And we'll be going in and out a lot more when Gail gets up doing the windows. So it's something I needed to do, and you just keep putting it off, and you can't do that because then one day you slip on one of those logs and the game is over. I painted the bottoms of the logs in between the steps black because you got to remember, out here at night there's no light. We have no electricity, so having these a light color in the dark, you're going to know where that step is because it's going to be actually accented by the black in between. It's just a good idea.